Hello, and welcome back to my channel. I am coming on today to share with you a few things that I have been doing around the house. And the first thing I'm starting off with is adding some additional decorations to the Christmas tree. As you can see, our tree is white, and I have decorated with silver and gray Christmas ornaments, and I've also rose color. It's like a pop of blush. I found the decorations that I just showed you at one of my favorite shopping spots. I really like those, and I will add pictures of those decorations so you can get a little better look towards the end of the video. But I'm just adding these pieces on the video. adding the pieces on the tree because I want the decorations to come across the tree to come across a little fuller. So I'm just gonna let you watch me do that for a little while, and I'll be back. Okay, and we are back. Now what you see me doing, I'm here in the living room. I am moving some things out of the way because I have to move the furniture in order to get to the window that's behind the sofa. And this is a bit of a chore because the sofa set is pretty heavy. But the good thing about it is that it's not attached. It's two pieces, so the actual pieces of the sofa aren't connected together, even though they can be. And here I am. This is the new rod, and I'm just taking my time pulling it out of the packaging because it has some really nice, I think the finish is called pewter, but it's in the gray silver family, the finish that's on this, and it's metal, really nice. And you'll see once I finally get it out of the box. I will tell you that this rod, I believe it extends up to 84 inches, and that's why and I'll show you the rod that I actually bought. I took the rod that I bought was one of the things I took out of off of the sofa before I moved it, and it's really pretty. And at some point I'll show you what that rod looks like, but it wasn't even half it was about half the window width, so obviously it was not going to be able to handle, you know, the curtain because it wasn't long enough. And here I am struggling trying to figure out how to put this daggone rod together because the pieces weren't actually matching up the way that I thought they should. So after wasting time trying to figure it out on my own, I eventually just had to grab the directions, and I literally had to sit down, and I'm looking at the pieces like, this piece do what and go where and how and why does it look this way? But yeah, so I had to get the paper and just try to figure it out. And we're back. So this is where I cut the camera off because I was sitting there trying to figure out the diagram, and I'm reading the directions, and I'm looking at the letters of the way they got the pieces labeled, but they don't have the pieces actually labeled. They have them labeled on the instructions, but they don't have them labeled on the actual pieces. And so you had to sit there and try to figure out which piece was what. And I was like, oh my God, okay. So I figured out there was a piece that slid into one of the end pieces, and that was the extension. So the extension piece actually fits in the middle, and it was just kind of an odd way for the pole to the rod to go together, but we figured it out. And so here I'm just I had this bright idea to slide the new rod in while the old rod was still in there to keep me from having to put the panels on one by one by one by one. So it kind of worked, but I don't know, it might have been easier for me just to go ahead and just take the panels off and just slide them onto the new rod, y'all. So taking off the old brackets, yeah, it was easy, real simple, but y'all are gonna see the struggle is so very real, so very real. And my first mind told me to bring because I have like a little it's a little bin, a cloth bin. I have a set of tools for myself. The drill that you see me using is my husband's. My drill is a little lightweight, so it's not powerful enough all the time for me to do certain things. And so I like to use his because it'll just like get those screws right in there, take them out, you know, if they're hard to get out or whatever. And so I found myself going up and down the stairs because I'm like, oh, just bring the whole thing down. Eventually, that's what I did. I just brought everything down because I have drill bits, and because the drill bits will fit either in my drill or his drill, it doesn't matter. But I had my hammer, and I had some like extra anchors that were different sizes. I had screws that were different sizes. And one of the things that you're going to see happen here is the way they put this window in. I know that there's metal and there's studs and all that. And so that's another thing that you're going to see me do is I needed to get my stud finder because I was having such a hard time. But I'm like, I don't know where like the metal, I know that the curtain rod needed to be out past the window and it needed to be up some, but I kept running into a problem trying to get the screws in. And I was like, I wonder what the heck is going on, because the screws for the other curtain rod that I took out went in there perfectly okay. And so I don't know what the heck was going on. I couldn't get any anchors in. they kept like bending or whatever. And so I was like, well, maybe I just need to put the screws in. So here you see me, I'm trying to, put the screws in. I wound up with like 4 extra holes in my wall because I was having trouble getting the screws in. So, and just so you know that the screws for the new, and I'm going to show you that too, the screws for the new curtain rod were much longer than the screws that I had taken out that belonged to the other curtain rod. And I didn't pay attention to that at first, and I hate that I didn't, because that's how I ended up with extra holes in the wall. Had I paid attention to the fact that the screws were so much longer, I would have realized what the issue was, and I would have been able to resolve it a lot quicker. Here's where you can see I went up and got the screws, because those screws are much shorter and should be easier to go in the wall. And so I'm showing you the comparison of the screw that came with the new rod and the screws that I had upstairs. So we're going to go with the shorter screw because we should have much more success. And here's where I was talking about I had to switch out the drill bit because it was slipping. It wasn't stripped, it was slipping because it wasn't the right fit. So I had to pull the screw out and match it up with the drill bit, so that and then the very first one of the reasons I was having trouble initially with the shorter screw is because it was a defective screw. So the top part where you put the drill in to drill it into the wall, it was like 3 of the 4 little slits were correct, but that 4th little slit was almost superficial, so the drill bit wouldn't even fit in there. So I had to get a one that wasn't defective. Hey, thank you, Jesus. I got the 3 brackets up, but it's not over. The struggle is not over, y'all. But at least I got the brackets up, and I kind of felt like maybe some of the screws were still too loose. I couldn't get them to go flush into the wall because I needed something more narrow, and I was trying to do it by hand, and I was just not having any success. So now I'm going to go ahead and get the panels moved from one rod to the next. And on this rod, the balls just pop off. For some reason, I was thinking that they screwed off, but they don't. They just pop off. On the new rod, they screw off. So I'm just gonna slide this in and try to, get as much of the as many of the panels onto the rod with the old rod still in there, kind of holding everything in place. And so that's what you'll see me doing. And I thought we were ready to go up on the window, but OMG. So each bracket has like this screw in it, and the purpose of the screw is to make sure that the rod doesn't come out. It's like another layer of security for the rod. So once you slide it in there, and you'll see I'm figuring out that I can't get it on there because I didn't take the screws out. I never leave those screws in because I just don't see the point of them being in there, because the bracket is designed in such a way that the rod sits in the bracket. So I don't see any opportunity for the rod to fall out. I don't know what the point was, but I never leave the screws in. So now we are ready. Time to put the curtains up. So there are 2 different style of curtains, and I wanted to try to find some white ones that was made out of the same material as the blush or pink curtains, because I like the weight and the feel and the look of the blush ones. The white ones are just, they're curtain. I think the blush ones are blackout curtains, so maybe that's why they're heavier. And so yeah. So now I'm just gonna run a vacuum behind the sofa, because y'all know, like I know, especially when you got heavy furniture, you don't move the furniture every single time you vacuum, but I try to move it at least once a month and vacuum back there, because like I said, I have ladybugs and I ain't got time for them kind of problems. But and then also for some reason, well, I know, because pest control said that it's because the building in a new area, you always have a problem with like spiders, and we're fighting spiders and ladybugs and crickets. Every now and then we'll see a lizard, but man, those things are an annoyance, because I just don't do bugs, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, Jesus, I'm in the house, I need y'all to stay out the house. But yeah, so anyway, just vacuuming up all the dead little critters or whatever that happened to have crawled back there. Okay, so now that I got everything put back in its place, these are some sachet bags that I found at my favorite little store. And what I did is I put some Downy Unstoppable, and I saw this little hack. I've heard of it before, because I do, with my Bath and Body line, I used to do mine with rock salt. Here is the original rod that I bought. Now y'all know, what was she thinking? There is no way in the world that rod was gonna fit on that wall, because that's about as far as it goes. That was it. I'm going to show you these pullbacks that I found. I have one similar to this in my bedroom. I really like it. The end is a little different, so I'm going to go ahead and put one on each side of the window. And even though y'all saw we don't have any blinds, like I told you before, the company that did the installation, the builder, only had them put it in the front of the house. So I got to get blinds on this window, but what I did in the bedroom, because there aren't any blinds on the window in the bedroom either, is I put some shears, so at least when we open the curtains we have some semblance of privacy, because you can't see like directly into the house because we have the shears. So I'm on I was on the lookout when I was in the store getting the panels, the blush panels, for a similar color shear so it doesn't throw the room off. I am going to measure first, because I didn't measure the ones in the room, and one is a little higher than the other. It's not extremely noticeable. I notice it more than anybody, but I wanted these, since they're directly like in the living room and you'll see them as soon as you come in, I wanted them to be even. So I'm going to measure the height, and it's going to be about 39 inches from the floor and about 7 inches from the actual in, like from the beginning of the window out towards the wall. Got them both in, and so now I'm just checking them out to make sure they're even. And this is when I realized that my curtains, I think, are a little off. So I have to adjust them, because it looks like the white set on the right side is a little more spread out than the white set on the left side. Thank y'all so much for joining me, and I hope this wasn't too boring for you, but I just wanted to show you what I've been up to in my place, and just trying to not necessarily decorate for the holidays. The tree is the only part that's for the holidays, but I wanted to carry that color over into my holiday decorations. But this is the color of my living room, and when the floors go in, it is going to be absolutely beautiful. But thank you so much. We're gonna go ahead and get out of here, but y'all know we don't do so without saying, love yourself, love somebody else, and until next time, y'all take care. Bye.